Yes, I know. There is something different about me. I just watched Mean Girls for the first time. Business from scratch. Welcome back to another episode in this series where I document everything I go through as I build my business from scratch and share it so that anyone who's going on the same journey has a better idea on what to do. The original idea for starting this business was I was going to start from home. And you might see my kitchen behind me and think that is not up to code. It's not, but there's something called the cottage food laws, which it'll differ from your state to state. Some states are heavily lean into cottage food, some do not. If you're in one of those states, you might need to figure out how to start a business from home, especially if it's food related. But in Michigan, it's very easy to start a food business from home under the cottage food laws. Now, if you do go under cottage food laws, there are some restrictions that you have to follow. I'm going to list the main big ones for Michigan specifically. You have a gross sales cap of $25,000, and keep in mind that is before tax. So if, say, you sell 25,000 units, each equal to $1, that's it. That's all you can sell for the rest of the year. You're capped at that. You can't sell anything that requires refrigeration. For example, my cinnamon rolls are fine. They do not have to be refrigerated after they are baked. So therefore, those are good under cottage food. However, if I put cream cheese frosting, which does need to be refrigerated if not being consumed, then suddenly it is no longer eligible. So other things that would fall under this restriction would be other types of dairy products like cheese, meat, so no raw meat can be sold under cottage food. It has to be able to picked up or delivered to a consumer with no requirement of refrigeration. And speaking of selling to consumers, you have to sell directly to the person that will eat the food. So you can't sell to a local restaurant, you can't sell to a local retailer and then they sell it to a consumer. You have to sell directly to the person that is eating. And then the last one, you have special label requirements. Now, even if you're not starting from home, you still need to label your product, especially if you're, say, going to farmers markets and selling. You need special labels. For example, if you go to a grocery store and you look at the label, you know all the nutritional facts, all the ingredients, main allergens. Those are required whether or not you're under cottage food. But what cottage food does require is in bold letters, a big label that states, was prepared in a kitchen under cottage food laws. So consumers can look at that and know, okay, it wasn't prepared in a professional type kitchen. There is risk in consuming this. Something else you need to keep in mind if you decide to start from home is you will need a home occupancy license. This is done through your state. You go through your state website, you figure out where to find a home occupancy license. If I did it, it was about $200 to get one. And basically it just states you're running a business out of your home and here's the license for it in case some government authority asks for it. Notably, this is only needed if consumers are coming to your home. So say you're selling out your front door and people come, they order at your front door, you bring it out to them, what they ordered, then you would need the license. If you don't plan on having anyone come to your home, you don't need the license though. So if you're just using your home as a base to prepare the product, and then maybe you go to a farmer's market and sell there, or maybe you do deliveries instead of pickups, then you don't need a license. You only need the license if people are coming to your home. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that I want to mention, especially if you're working from home, something you want to check for if you plan on working from home like I originally was, is either your lease if you're in an apartment or HOA. You want to check these because sometimes they have little paragraphs, little blurbs that state something against operating a business of your apartment. Is because that's what happened to me. Like I said, I was originally planning on operating from home under the cottage food laws, but I checked my lease and sure enough there was a little blurb there. From there I started to look for other options. I didn't want to open up my own storefront. That it's on the vision board. I hope one day to have my own storefront, but that is not where I wanted to start out, especially since I do not have any professional culinary training or experience. But there is a common trend of what are called incubator kitchens. Sometimes they're also called ghost kitchens, but those are also technically a completely separate thing. But what an incubator kitchen is a giant kitchen area, oftentimes several times larger than a normal kitchen that you would find in a restaurant or a bakery. And the owner of that incubator kitchen rents it out to smaller businesses like my own that can be used to prepare the product within a fully FDA approved space. So using this kitchen, what this means is I no longer have to operate under cottage food laws. There's of course all the other FDA rules and regulations I have to follow, but you had to follow those anyway. At least most of them, cottage food laws does exempt you from some, but yeah, this was perfect. It's not too far away, the incubator kitchen that I found. Applying to this kitchen and how that looked was, first I went to their website, scheduled a tour, got to see the whole space, got to learn a lot more about how going through an incubator kitchen rather than cottage food starts you off on a more professional foot, especially for someone like me that wants to one day have my own storefront. Moving from an incubator kitchen to a storefront is a lot easier than, say, moving from cottage food to a storefront. So that's really what got me to say yes to wanting to pursue this as an option. So first thing I had to do before I could even apply was get the right certification. If you're under cottage food, you'll still need a certification. You will need a food handler certification. I needed a food safety manager certification. I went through ServSafe. They do a lot within the Midwest, I believe. I don't know if they're national, but definitely in the Midwest. They sent me this textbook. Spent about a month and a half studying prior to the class. The class was okay. If I didn't study as much as I did, I think I would have gotten more out of it. A lot of it was repeat information, but luckily, passed the test. I am food safety manager certified, so that's pretty cool. And for anyone who's nervous, maybe you're already signed up for a course and you're dreading taking the exam, don't worry. It's all multiple choice, and as long as you've taken the time to study and get to know the material, most of the questions, I would say, like for me, when I took the test, there were 7 I wasn't sure about. But all the other ones, it was, yes, I am 100% sure that is the correct one. Like none of the others even come close. And most of the questions are just common sense. For example, when I was studying, one of the practice questions was, where do you not store food? And the 4 options were pantry, freezer, cooler, or bathroom. Oh, like, man, it really just messed up my plans of having a bunch of shelves of food in the bathroom. Like, I was very disappointed to learn that. And then the other questions there are questions that aren't common sense, but it's just you have to know the numbers. It's just easy to memorize. For example, internal cooking temperatures, what you have to cook different types of food to in order for them to be considered safe. So that's the kind of thing that will be on the test. But most of it's common sense. Anyways, after I got my certification, I was then able to apply. There was an application I had to fill out. I don't know what other incubator kitchens do, but this one was, what's my business plan? What's my target market? When do I plan on using the kitchen? The next thing is doing a background check. Just make sure I'm a decent person, which I am, don't worry. I am confident I will pass. And that's all I have to say on applying to an incubator kitchen. If it doesn't sound complete, it's not, but the reason I don't have more to share is because I'm still waiting to hear back. Anyways, that's all I have to share this week. Thank you for watching, and I'll have an update for you next week.